Today I want to show you guys how to plant cucumbers and zucchinis. I'm also going to talk about some very common problems and offer a few solutions to help you out. Let's start with the most common problem. If your zucchinis look like this, it means you started your seeds way too early. You can see this plant starting to get a little bit leggy, and if you have flowers, that is a for sure sign that you started these way too early. Ideally, you're going to want your zucchinis only to have 2 or 3 leaves by the time you plant them. Zucchini is actually grown a lot better by putting the seeds in the ground than starting them in pots or indoors. And plants like this size usually don't do too well being transplanted, but these are the plants I'm going to be using for this video, and I'm going to show you how to make these work. Here are a few of the plants I put in the ground yesterday. These are also bigger plants, a lot bigger than what you're looking for when you're going to transplant. But these are actually doing very well. They've had the hot sun beating on them all day, and they look pretty good. That leads to the next point. Before you put your seedlings in the ground, make sure you harden them off. If you don't know what hardening off is, look it up, and that'll most likely be another video. But these seedlings need to get used to being outdoors before you can just toss them in the dirt. The sun that has been beating on these plants today would have definitely killed them if I had not hardened these off. Now let's talk about soil prep and planting. So this is our end game here. Got this nice mound, not too high off the ground, but what this mound is going to do, it's going to offer drainage, extra airflow through the plant, and it's going to help the pollinators. I'm not 100% sure why or if it's even true, but apparently they can see these big yellow flowers when they open if the plant's off the ground. So since it helps us out anyway, we're going to do it. If you're working with a large garden like I am, I like to go 3.5, 4 foot with my plants. But if you have limited space, doing these in a raised garden bed or something, you can get away with 2 foot as long as you prune them the right way. My next mound is 3.5 feet away from that last plant. My mound's gonna go here. So what I'm gonna do is take this shovel in a spot about 18 inches wide. I'm just going to dig down to about a foot or so and keep turning the soil over and breaking it up. Here's the broken up soil. I'm going to take all this broken up soil, I'm going to dig it out and put it off to the side. Next, I'm going to take some of this topsoil just laying around the garden, and I'm going to fill this hole up about 3/4 of the way. As you're putting it in, make sure you break up all the big clumps of dirt as well. Here's our hole, 3/4 full. Soil we took out. Now this soil is going to go back in. This is a perfect opportunity if you want to add fertilizer or any nutrients to take this soil and mix it with something else. My soil is really good, so I'm not doing it with all these mounds I'm making. But if you have poor soil, I recommend getting some kind of fertilizer, or you can even use this in-ground soil, organic. It's meant to be mixed into the ground. This can all be done by hand. You just take your fertilizer or soil, toss it in there, mix a little bit of the first layer we took out in, and just keep doing this until you got your mound made. While you're doing this, use your fingers to break this up when you're mixing it too. You wind up with this mound of soil, so you're going to take your hands and just pat it down. And then around the perimeter, I like to take my fingers we just draw a circle. Take this excess, move it off to the side. Make sure we got a nice elevated mound off the ground. Got 5 fresh mounds, ready to put 5 more zucchinis in the ground. It's time to talk about another mistake. Do not put your plants in the ground in the middle of the day if it's sunny out. It's very bad for the plants. The only time you should put new plants in the ground is if it's really cloudy out or in the evening. It's been really sunny all day, but it is evening in Heartland, Michigan. So we are good to go with putting this zucchini in the ground. This guy is in real bad shape. Look at that. Look at that stem folded over. But still doing pretty good. This thing has been folded over for weeks now. Really curious to see how it's going to do once I put it in the ground. But if it doesn't survive, I have a backup plan that I'm going to show you at the end of the video that could save your zucchini harvest. We're going to dig the hole in this mound now for this plant. It's about 5 inches from the soil line to the bottom of this cup, but I'm going to bury it a little bit deeper. You can bury the stems with zucchinis as long as you don't go crazy. This one's old enough that it should do pretty good burying the stem, and we're not going to go all the way up to the plant. We're still going to leave about an inch or so. So I'm going to go at like 7 inches, and we're just going to use our fingers, top of the mound, and dig a hole. Got our hole dug. Let's get this guy in the ground. Look at this thing. This zucchini is an absolute mess. It's all over the place. This is exactly why you don't start these indoors. There's no need to. Just put the seeds in the ground. But anyway, let's give her a shot. We're gonna take that zucchini out of that cup. Look at that. It does have a good root system going here. And then we're just gonna break these up like we do at every plant. Not going crazy, just knocking some dirt off. Give it a little shake. And she's ready to go in the dirt. Always check your depth when you put the plant in. You could always add more dirt or take some dirt out if it's not the right depth. So we're just gonna put the plant in and gently put some of this dirt along the sides of it first. Right now, we're buried to the top of the soil, which is where you'd ideally want to be with any plant, including zucchinis. But since this thing is a mess, we're going to add a little bit of extra dirt along the sides of it. We're going to bury it to about 1 inch below the base here. Plants in, fix my mound up a little bit. And as you can see, it doesn't look good, but we're gonna fix it. All right, let's help this plant out a little bit since it looks absolutely terrible right now. All you're gonna need are some rocks. You could also use sticks for this or some sort of hard wire you can stick into the ground. In this case, I'm gonna use rocks. I'm gonna take these rocks and put them around this plant to help it stand up. And look at that, standing up, doing pretty good. And this leads to the next problem. You do not want your leaves touching the ground. We are going to cut these leaves off. Zucchini is very forgiving, and cutting these off is going to stop any parasites or fungus from getting into these leaves and any leaf rot. Got some scissors, pretty close to the plant, just like that. There's another one. Do a double check. This guy right here. Get him out. So right now, I got no leaves touching the ground. And this plant, which looked like garbage, actually looks pretty good right now. We'll see how it does. Final step here. Gonna give her a drink. Put some around the plant, but put a little bit extra, about 6 to 8 inches away. You want those roots to really reach for that water. Alright, now let's talk cucumbers. Cucumbers are going to be the same thing. Follow all the same steps I showed you for the zucchinis, except we're going to add an extra step. I got a nice spot in the corner here that's going to work out perfect for these cucumbers. I'm going to put 2 plants on this mound that I made. Got the plants in the ground, and take a look at this. These 2 plants are only about 12 inches apart. The reason I can do this is because, unlike the zucchinis, the cucumbers are going to need some kind of trellis system. I have a fence that's about 150 foot long, so I'm going to put 2 plants here. I'm going to train these plants to go where I want them to go. My cucumbers do not make the rules. I tell my cucumbers where they're going to go. If you look close here, you can see these little guys sticking out from the cucumber. I took one and wrapped it around the fence here. This cucumber is going to go up this fence, and it's going to grow that way. This cucumber is going to go up the fence and grow that way. As these plants grow, I can tie them off and tell them where they're going to grow, because they don't make the rules. It's Memorial Day weekend, as you might be able to hear in the background with the music going, with the neighbors partying next door. But I'm going to show you one last trick that might save your season. All you need for this are the original seeds you planted. I want you to take 3 of these seeds, and we are going to plant these around the plants we put in the ground. I like to call this Plan B. In case your plants don't work out or they die, those seeds will sprout. You'll be able to pick the strongest of those 3 and keep that plant. And then you cut down your original plant. Best case scenario is your plant survives and you take those that sprouted and just pull them out of the ground. You may notice that the seeds you planted actually catch up to the transplants you did and surpass them. No matter what, you're going to have plants this season. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video solved all of your zucchini and cucumber problems. Be sure to like and subscribe.